We are live.
Hi everyone.
Hello. Welcome to the Speed Mooting Partners in Crime podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Hayley.
And it's a super special episode because we've got a massive announcement.
Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned for more. But before we start, let's name the episode. So, it's episode 59. And we're getting really a bit convoluted with the system, but I'll explain it. Because it used to be Formula 1 driver numbers or wrestlers with some sort of connection to it. And we're into a weird part of the numbering system now whereby drivers just haven't used these numbers. At 59, there's no Formula 1 driver number with that number. So, I've looked at what the 59th ever Grand Prix was. Okay? Mm-hmm. And it is the 1958 Argentinian Grand Prix. Okay? Now, I looked at who won, and it was the same guy who won last week's race, Sterling Moss. Okay? So I thought, well, let's have a look who finished second. And I'd never heard of this guy before.
Okay.
I wasn't watching Formula 1 in 1958. So...
No.
Unless it's someone really famous that was winning races or world championships back then. There's probably a fair few I've not heard of. In fairness, 3 of the top 4 from that race I've all heard of. But this guy, I had to Google, he drove for Ferrari and he finished second in this race. And his name is Luigi Musso. So, welcome to episode 59, the Luigi Musso special.
Welcome.
Let's move on.
Have Ferrari, I know we're moving on, but I've got a Formula 1 related question. Have Ferrari been in it, like, right from when Formula 1 started?
The only team.
I was going to say, is there any others? Just Ferrari?
No, just Ferrari. Formula 1 was going before the 50s, but when the official championship started was 1950. And,
Ferrari were there? Wow.
Yeah. So they've been at every single Grand Prix.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that's why they get a bigger split of the prize money, because you know how important they are to Formula 1. There we are.
Anyway, let's move on. So if you've been listening to this podcast over the last few months, maybe, we've been teasing something. We've been at the precipice of launching this thing so many times, and then we've held that back because we wanted everything to be perfect. And today, on a random Wednesday morning, we finally launched.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell everyone what it is, John?
Well, let's tell them. There's 2 aspects to this, so let's go with the shiny. Well, they're supposed to be both the shiny parts, but first, it's a brand new website. So, for well over a decade, the website's been developed by myself.
Who's not a website developer.
Who's not a web developer.
Not a coder. Not an IT guy.
I mean, I've learned a fair bit. I've taught myself a fair bit, but that's not what I do.
Yeah.
I'm a criminal barrister, in case you don't know. So it's been all right. It's not a bad little website. It's functioned. It's promoted all our events, given information about our events. People have been able to sign up for them. And, you know, it's done its job for well over a decade. But I thought it's time, let's get a proper professional website. So we've done that.
It was time.
It looks insane. It looks incredible. And we've had pros put it together for us.
Yes, we certainly have. We'll give a shout out. We'll give a shout out to them, I think.
I think so. So it's Cypher Media, based at the Albert Dock in Liverpool. Great company. And so we work very closely with both Chris and Simon over there. So shout out if you got any marketing or website needs.
100% would recommend them.
100% would recommend.
And whenever you've seen John and I at the Albert Dock recently on our videos and posts, that's where we've been.
That's where
various meetings. Like they've been so good with us as well.
Oh, they have.
Because this is our baby. This is everything to us. So we've been in there a fair few times. There's been a lot of redrafts, and they've been absolutely stellar.
Brilliant. So that's one aspect. The second aspect is our own community hub.
This is the bit I was most excited about, I think. Because it's
brilliant.
Just so new, something we've never done before.
Yeah, it's so the community hub, it looks a bit like a social media sort of platform, doesn't it? It's got its own feed. Everyone has their own platform. You can direct message other users. You can comment on other users' posts, if I put it that way.
Yep.
And then on top of that, we've got a learning resources hub. So we've got a load of courses on there. So already we've got, and this is in the general free community hub that anyone can access completely free of charge. We've got a course all about the criminal trial, course all about an introduction to civil litigation, and a mooting course.
Indeed.
So they're all great resources.
And more will be coming. We've already got a bunch catalogued, so we'll slowly but surely give you more and more. But we wanted to make sure there was a good few ready for people that are signing up from the get-go with us. There's a few to sink your teeth into. Yeah,
definitely. And there's also going to be exclusive courses in the advocacy club section. So the advocacy club will be managed within the community hub now. There's a section for the legal advocacy club, a section for the public speaking and the debating advocacy club. So we'll be putting information in there. We'll be putting specific courses in there that are exclusive to our members. So they're going to be fleshed out as time goes on as well.
Yes. And there's also a bit of a interactive gaming element to the community hub.
Yeah.
So we have rewards for people that engage with us, for people that engage with each other, for people that are completing the courses. And as of right now, there are 3 rewards. So one, I can't remember the order of them actually, but one of them is an advocacy club taste a month.
Yeah.
One of them is a free place at one of our online competitions. And the third is a one-to-one mentoring session with the Speed Squad, aka us. And there's all different levels based on, how much you do on the hub. And basically the levels, I came up with this, which I thought was quite clever, correspond with something legal. So I think the first one is, you're an observer, then you might be a law student, then you might be an apprentice, and the highest levels are like KCs and Master of Advocacy. So it was quite funny when we were building it. We looked at how the points jump, don't they? So it's quite easy to move up the first couple of levels, and then it gets harder and harder and harder. Which is how it should be,
exactly.
It shouldn't be. You don't want to complete it in a day, do you?
No.
You'll be with us for years and years before you become the Master of Advocacy.
Oh yeah, because it's a massive amount of points. It's something like 30,000 points you need to score.
Yes.
And we've worked it out. It is doable. If you're in that hub for 5 years, which you might be if you're joining in first year, or even when you're on an A level, for example. So it's entirely plausible that you can score that to a point.
Yeah.
And we need to think about a really, really good prize for someone if they hit that level. They deserve
like a one-off thing, definitely.
Yeah.
And the way it works is, so and this is all explained on the rewards page of the hub, so head over there and have a little look. But so when you reach a certain milestone, for example, say one of them is tied to level 5, everyone in level 5 will go into a prize draw at the end of the month.
Yeah.
And one lucky winner will be picked for one of those prizes.
Yeah.
That's how it's going to work. That's the idea so far anyway. Who knows, in a couple of months' time we might change it.
Yeah, that's it. It's constantly developing, isn't it?
Yes.
And we always get great ideas from our users, so as we're getting feedback we might come up with new ideas as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there we go. That is it so far. As we say, there'll be lots more content coming, but for the moment it's just a really interactive feed, lots of learning courses, lots of resources. That's the idea behind 100%. The hub. A very easy way for us to connect with our Speed Mooting community and for you all to connect with each other. So definitely. If you're not on there yet when you're listening to this podcast, go and join. Yeah. And it's nice and easy. hub.speedmooting.com.
Yeah.
And the website, because of our very, very clever Cypher Media team, hasn't actually changed. So speedmooting.com will take you to the brand spanking new website. So please check it out and let us have your thoughts. We've been working on it since...
back in the last year.
January, yeah. It was after Christmas.
Oh, it was after Christmas? No. It was after Christmas when work started on the website.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so a long time coming, and we're really happy with it, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's brilliant. Boom. So last week on the episode, we were talking about AI, weren't we?
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking very generally about it. And we've had a few comments, haven't we?
Yeah. So we're going to continue the discussion today. Yeah. I think, it's something that continues to develop, doesn't it? So we will continue talking about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think you... Go on.
I was just going to say the comment on... Do you want me to get the comments on YouTube? Can't actually remember what it said. So, on my mini pupillage, I was shadowing the prosecution, and the defendant was a litigant in person who was using ChatGPT to represent himself. He didn't rely on authorities, but I think it helped him to understand the procedural things more than anything else. And he did pretty well. The jury convicted him of the lesser offence.
Oh.
So it would be great to hear your thoughts on what the future of the courtroom would look like given how AI is advancing every day. Do you think we'll see more litigants in person?
Possible. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like with this, it's AI that's probably been put to good use by a litigant in person.
Yeah.
As we've seen, with this recent case, ChatGPT does have its limitations in terms of it doesn't... Well, sometimes it's making the law up.
Yes.
So if an individual was trying to study the law on it, because let's be fair, litigants in person, they've not been to law school, they don't know the law off their own back, as it were. So if they were using it for legal research, then I think they'd come unstuck. But if it's simple things like the procedure of a trial, it's probably something ChatGPT would know.
Yeah.
So if it's given just a helping hand to guide someone in the right way, then it might help them. I do think that at this moment in time, though, that's as much help in reality as they'll probably receive. And, as I've explained to my clients, there's no replacement for having a lawyer.
No.
Where I often see people become unstuck is, as a real example, first appearance in the magistrate's court, they go in, the right issues are not raised for trial, they're not requesting the right witnesses, not requesting the right information, and then they'll get lawyers on board 2 weeks before trial, and you realise that, had they had lawyers at the outset, things would have gone in a very different way. So that's the risk, so when you get to trial, sure, it can help you with the procedural aspects there, how to cross-examine, when you cross-examine, when you give a closing speech, etc. But in terms of the specifics as to how to run your defence, that's where people might become a little bit unstuck there. Yeah,
no, I agree. I think you probably will see more litigants in person because they'll think it's so great. Because it does seem great, and they'll think, it's given me all the answers, so they'll think they can do it by themselves.
Yeah.
But probably, as you said, John, is going to also lead to more people after the first appearances, after a couple of hearings, thinking, oh God, that actually wasn't so great.
Yeah.
And then they're on the back foot trying to get a lawyer to get them out of whatever mess they've gotten themselves into. So it seems like for this person, it did help them. And I'm sure it can help people, as John said, to a basic level, but it can't replace a lawyer.
No.
And people will realise that pretty quickly.
Yeah, law's one of those industries, I don't know what it is, but everyone thinks they can be a lawyer, regardless. So, if something went wrong with your engine, you wouldn't go, I'll go on YouTube and I'll replace the gearbox myself, whatever.
Yeah.
But law people think, it's just arguing, I can go and do that.
Until they go and it goes horribly
wrong. I was in court the other day and I saw this guy go in, and straight away it was just like an interlocutory hearing. I can't even remember what it's about, and he was arguing with the judge about something. I can't remember, something completely irrelevant, and he went, "Well, it's a mistrial, then, isn't it?" The judge said, "This isn't your trial." And then there were so many other completely irrelevant things out there. We're sidestepping here because we're talking about AI.
It's linked.
But it's linked. But it's just one of those things. I don't know what it is. Why people think everyone thinks they can be a lawyer when they've got no training for it. If you know why that is, comment below, actually. but yeah.
I think it's one of those things as well. Like, I can already, I'll be honest, like, I use ChatGPT sometimes for the business, for ideas, for content and social media, etc. But already, I don't ask it to write the posts because you can see it regurgitates the same things and the same style of writing again and again and again.
Yeah.
And I can already see it in other people's posts or in messages to me. You know, we get a lot of private messages, don't we?
Yeah.
And you can spot that's come from AI. That's not someone's real words. So it'll probably be very similar in the legal industry. You know, if everyone starts trying to use it, the judges will know the phrases that ChatGPT has given people to say again and again and again. And
the other thing as well is, you know, once again, I'm not a tech guy, but I wonder if there's going to be software, probably already exists, that can detect where AI has been used, and then maybe when, you know, people are, you know, submitting documents to court, etc., it might pick up on this is a...
Yeah. I mean, they have it at university, don't they? Do you remember when you submit your coursework and just that plagiarism thing?
Yeah.
I bet it'll be able to do AI.
So, I mean, if they had that way back when, they'd be able to use things now to detect AI, won't they?
Definitely.
Yeah. But the long and short, I think at this moment in time is, you know...
It's not advanced enough.
No, it's not advanced
I would never advise anyone to use AI in place of a lawyer.
No. But the point I was going to say was, you know, just going back to what we said last week, you know, even to lawyers, you know, don't just throw into ChatGPT, here's my case, draft me a skeleton argument.
No, God, no. Interesting though, because we were talking about, weren't we, the use of it in law firms, and I was kind of hypothesising about, I bet you it's already being used in some ways, in very controlled ways, but I bet you the firms are monitoring how and when it is used. We had to catch up with some friends this weekend, didn't we?
Yeah.
I'm trying to make sure I don't say anything that identifies them.
Yeah.
And one of our friends is a lawyer in, it's not Magic Say, top 20 firm though, isn't she? Top 20 commercial firm. And we were talking about AI, and she gave us a little bit of insight into her firm, how they're using it. And they are actively encouraged to use it for certain things. It's not like ChatGPT, it's their own AI. But for things, you know, like what we were talking about last week, like automations and stuff like that, and really simple, like, points of research, but then it's always got to be double checked on a legal database, you know, just to give people a leg up type of thing to get you going. And it's linked to some incentives and things with the firm.
Oh, wow.
You know, to encourage people to use it. But it's absolutely forbidden to be used for drafting, you know, particulars, anything like that.
Yeah.
And forbidden to be used when you're drafting legal advice.
Right, okay.
So, pretty on the money to what I was saying last week, actually.
Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Yeah.
So, I mean, that's just one example we've had. If there's more, this is such a fascinating topic, isn't it? So I would love to
I do think that there's a place for it, and I think that there's going to be more and more of a place for it going forwards.
We've got big plans for our business, haven't we? I mean, you'd be a fool not to use it where you can use it safely.
No, because when it's used safely and used in conjunction, I think it's going to be a good tool to assist lawyers, and those that know how to use it properly are going to really get ahead, and they're going to be streets ahead. You know, I think back to when I was working in various law firms. We used to use case management software. And, you know, the processes it would run, so you go, you know, I never ran the process, but I saw other people do, you know, you open the case, and straight away, you know, you had all your client's details pre-programmed in, and it would automatically generate all the letters that you needed, your initial client care letter, and then there'd be various processes that you run, so when you needed your claim form, it'd generate most of that, you just needed to fill in little bits and bobs. And that's, you know, you're talking 10, 15 years ago, before AI was really a thing. So that's just general computer automation there. Yeah. Imagine what it's going to be doing now.
And just look at, like, how the shift in the last 12 months, I think 12 months ago, I would be like, oh, AI now. It's not. I wasn't even playing with it back then.
Yeah.
And now it's like, it's so fun. You go on ChatGPT and you're like, oh, I've only got X, Y, and Z in the fridge. What can I make? And it gives you like menued stuff. It is brilliant what it can do. Just know its limitations and know it. You know, it can't replace your own brain. So don't try to. You're cleverer than ChatGPT, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And another final point on this. So there was an interesting article in the Law Gazette. I think it was today by John Hyde, who I've met incidentally. He interviewed me, was one of the panel members that interviewed me when I was shortlisted for Manchester Young Lawyer / Trainee of the Year for the Manchester Legal Awards. So, you know, we go way back.
Oh, yeah, of course.
We go way back. But yeah, he did an article about AI, so it's interesting. I will throw up a screenshot here for people that are watching, so you can have a read. If you're not watching, then just go on the Law Gazette and I'm sure you'll find it. So he did, it was an opinion piece based on the case we were talking about last week where I think there's more info on it now as well, and it was a set of junior lawyers that have got caught trying to use ChatGPT to create authorities. And his take on it was interesting, and I say I've only read it, so you might read the article and go, I don't know if that's actually what he's saying, but what I think he was trying to say is a big part of the problem and why the younger lawyers will be going to ChatGPT is to do with the fact that there's not as many senior people around anymore. Yeah. So the flexible working debate as well plays a part here, because if you're in the office and a client's asking you something or something's got to go out and you're stuck and there's nobody around to ask, it's so tempting to go, well, ChatGPT can help me.
Yeah.
Which, is a very
true, isn't it?
a very interesting take. Yeah.
Interesting.
So watch the space is probably a regular. We won't talk about it every week because you'll get bored. But as and when things progress, we'll talk. And it's a very controversial, is not the right word, but it's a very
well, it splits opinions, doesn't it?
It does,
suppose,
yeah. So
opinions.
We welcome different thoughts, different viewpoints. Drop us a comment and let us know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. This video is brought to you by Speed Mooting. We are an organisation that help aspiring and junior lawyers. We run online and in-person advocacy and mooting competitions. We do online advocacy and public speaking training, and we run lots of other events to assist people on their legal journey. To learn more, visit our website, speedmooting.com.
Right?
Yeah. Another thing I wanted to mention briefly, it was Pupillage Offer week, wasn't it?
It was.
And we've seen loads of messages online, loads of posts online. So if you received a Pupillage Offer, congratulations.
Yes.
Really enjoy it.
I should read the email that we got today.
Yeah.
I'll anonymise it though.
Yeah,
of course.
read that email.
This put a big smile on our face, didn't it?
Yeah.
Hi both, hope you're well. I just wanted to let you both know that I secured pupillage at blank chambers this year. The competitions I took part in gave me so much confidence for my advocacy interview, and I ended up receiving multiple offers. I just wanted to say a big thank you.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always brilliant when you see, people that have been through either speed mooting competitions or our advocacy club, and they're doing well.
I know. And this one just really strikes a chord with me, because the person came to our competitions, did very well, and they were actually a very nervous public speaker. Yeah. And weren't confident in their own abilities whatsoever, despite, progressing so far in the competition. Yeah. So it's so great to see how far they've come. Yeah. And to get multiple offers.
Crazy.
It's just incredible. And in fact, I've seen that a few times on LinkedIn, people saying they got multiple offers. Yeah. So it just goes to show, when you are ready and you finally cross that threshold, you're recognised by multiple chambers sometimes, it seems.
Yeah. No, it's good. And it's interesting, I suppose, from our point of view. It'd be interesting to see how many times speed mooting gets mentioned in pupillage application forms. I was in the speed mooting competition, this, that and the other. And
it's got to be, because why wouldn't you? Of course it's going to be in your CV and you're going to talk about it. It's a better example of performing advocacy under pressure, competitions, practicing all forms of advocacy, the advocacy club. Yeah. It's perfect, isn't it?
It covers it all, doesn't it?
Yes.
It covers it all.
But there's been a fair few people on our LinkedIn celebrating their pupillage that are members of our advocacy club or have taken part in our competition. So every time I see that, I feel like a little pat on the back is deserved.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, it gives us assurance, doesn't it, that we're doing the right thing, we're helping people out.
Yes.
Because I always just think about, if I was in that position, what would have helped me, what would I have needed?
Yes.
So it's great to see that it's really helping people out.
Huge congrats, everyone. I imagine people have already been celebrating hard this past weekend.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a bank holiday coming up, haven't we?
That we have, yeah.
So I imagine there's some more big celebrations planned, and you guys all deserve it.
Yeah, definitely. Well done.
And on the flip side, if it wasn't your year, don't worry, your time will come. If you're listening to this podcast today for the first time, you won't know John and I that we've had very, very long journeys into the law. We certainly did not get training contracts or pupillage offers first time, or at all.
I am in practice as a barrister, and I never received the pupillage offer. I actually received a message from someone asking me about, how many I got. I was like, I didn't. So I actually don't know what that feeling is like to receive the pupillage offer.
But you got your training contract and qualified as a solicitor, didn't you?
Wow, yeah. That was an insane feeling. Probably the same for you, isn't it? When you get that email and it's like...
We've told our stories on the podcast before, haven't we? A very, very early episode. So if you're interested, go and have a little search on our YouTube. I think if you just type in training contract offers or something, you'll find the episode. But yeah, it was a great feeling when you finally get that. Yeah. And rest assured, because I know it's a horrible feeling when you get rejected, and we've seen so many of those posts on LinkedIn as well. Within time, you'll put it into perspective and you'll keep going, but let yourself have that time to wallow. It's healthy and it's very normal to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But it's, get back on the horse, you'll get there, guys.
Yeah. I think what I'd say to those people that weren't successful this year, if you get into second round interviews, you've got what it takes.
Yeah.
If you get in first round interviews, well, once again, you've got enough on paper that get you in the door.
Yes.
It's probably just, thinking about maybe your interview technique. If you're not getting interviews at all, which, that was a position I found myself in, certainly first time, second time, it's just a matter of thinking, well, how do I fill out the CV?
Yes.
So certainly, the first time I applied for pupillage was third year of university, which I think it's still third year at uni when you apply now. I didn't really have a great deal to talk about beyond what did I do? My law degree. So what I was doing there, did a bit of work in Primark, delivered Chinese food. So there wasn't a great deal for me to talk about on my CV. The bar course, once again, beyond doing the bar course, there wasn't a great deal for me to talk about. So it's hard to separate yourself. So, if you're listening to this and you're still at uni, try and do as many extracurricular activities as you can.
Yeah.
To really boost, well, when I say as many, not just loads for the sake of it, but ones that are going to help you out. Then once you finish your degree and your studies, that's when you'll probably end up as a paralegal, and that's when you really start to gain the experience that's going to help you with your application forms and your CVs, because you'll be effectively in practice, working in a solicitor's firm, and hopefully doing things that are going to help you. You're speaking to clients, so you can say, look, your confidence is building, your conference skills are growing. If you're drafting documents, you're boosting your drafting. If ever you're allowed to go to court, you're developing your advocacy. So you're developing the skills that you need, and it's helping you fill out all those other boxes. So just, obviously not straight away, but go back to the drawing board, look at what the questions are on the pupillage forms, and just think, how do I fill those blanks? What experience do I need to get in there? And that's what I was going to say, was that's why we open our competitions up to graduates as well, because once you graduated, it's hard to get sort of academic experience again. So all of our competitions and the advocacy club are open to graduates, so you're getting the chance to still develop your advocacy skills, and of course enter competitions. And if you win, that's probably the best thing you can possibly put on a pupillage form, because if you enter a plea mitigation competition with 200 people and you win it, you can say, look, I'm that good as an advocate. I beat 199 other people in a single day, and I've got the advocacy skills there. Obviously don't phrase it that way, but you get the point that I'm making. You've obviously got to be a good advocate to beat 199 other people in a day.
Definitely. And on that note, we might as well plug our next competition, which is the plea mitigation competition, coming up on the 28th of June.
Yeah.
There are places available, not too many left now though.
Yeah, they're going quickly.
So, speedmooting.com, I wouldn't have a place before they are all gone.
Yeah.
And that could be, the perfect way if you have been disappointed this year. get yourself back on the horse, take part in our competitions, and, you know, get back in that race ready for next year.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what you've just said there actually brings me perfectly on to the next segment I wanted to talk about.
Okay.
And I don't think I even told you about this segment, so it's you know, a bit of like psychic abilities from you there, John.
Okay.
I made a post on LinkedIn a couple of weeks ago now, but it's still doing the rounds and proving quite popular.
Oh, yeah.
And it actually was about my time as a paralegal.
Brilliant.
So, very similar to everything you were just saying, John, I've said about how, you know, it really set me up to practice, and, you know, it wasn't just a waste of time while I was looking for a training contract. I think it's actively one of the main reasons why I eventually got the training contract. Yeah. I was working in litigation, it was fast-paced, it was dealing with clients, it was dealing with defendants, it was drafting, it was researching, everything. So when I came to start my training contract, I was prepared.
Yeah.
And also when I was doing the interviews and the assessment days, I could draw on the skills that I'd picked up as a paralegal to help me get through. So 100%, John and I would both shout from the rooftops that paralegaling is worth its weight in gold.
It really is.
And on the back of that post, I've had a fair few messages, comments and questions about people that are looking for paralegal roles right now.
All right.
So it's a shame, but it's also to be expected. It's another competitive part of the legal profession. So a lot of paralegal jobs are looking for people with experience, which it's always annoying, isn't it? Because how do you get experience if someone won't give you experience? Yeah. But I just thought we'd have a little chat about how we got into our paralegal roles, and then other ways that we know are good to get you into paralegal roles. Particularly, you know, entry-level paralegal roles, so people that are just graduating and don't have any legal work experience yet. Okay. So I will start.
Yeah.
So my role as a paralegal actually was, the opportunity was given to me by my university. So my university had a link with a law firm that wanted someone to do a work placement with them. So that's how I got my foot in the door. And then when I graduated university, obviously I had a big connection with this law firm, so they invited me back to work as a paralegal. So you may not think it's obvious, but if you are still in university, have a chat with your tutors and with your university careers team, because they might have links with law firms and places that are looking for paralegal positions. I know, for example, Darren Weir, who's we know very well, he's a lecturer at Kent University. I always see him popping things up on his LinkedIn. Kent law students, look, here's a paralegal job. So the university itself can be a great resource, and that's how I got my paralegal role.
Yeah. How did I get mine? So I had just finished the bar course, and back in the day, you didn't have to get student finance. There were specific banks that did loans for it, but the terms were 1 month after you had to start repaying it. So I was like, I need a job ASAP. And this is back in the days when people used to buy the newspaper. And there was a particular firm that was advertising in our local newspaper, and they said, paralegals wanted. So it said, drop an email with a CV to whatever email address. So wrote into them, and they got in touch, brought me in for an interview, and got the job. And so I worked there, and that was in personal injury, because personal injury was massive back in the day. So PI, it was you only needed your claim to be worth £1,000 to get into the fast track, whereas now it's like £10,000, isn't it? So it meant there was so much work out there, so many firms, particularly in and around Liverpool anyway. Yeah. So it was a good way of getting in. They didn't really want people with experience. Oh, they obviously did want people with experience, but didn't necessarily need it, because it was very easy to train people up. So many jobs out there. So I worked with that firm for some time, and moved on to another in a temporary sort of role, because I had a particular agreement why it was only temporary, and then moved on to...
And how did you get into that other one?
So I did some work experience with that particular firm when I was at university, and contacted them, and they said, well, funnily enough, we're looking for somebody on a short-term basis. So I said, because I told them, I'm looking for pupillage or a paralegal role, and so they knew I was going to be actively looking. They said, well, funnily enough, we've got a role for very much a short-term basis. Come on in, and keep applying for your other jobs. If you need time for interviews, whatever, go for it. So I was with them for a couple of months, and then moved on to Camps, who I was with for 3 years. About to say 5 then. 3 years I was with Camps, 3.5 years.
And was that again just like an advertisement, or how did you get on with those?
How did I see Camps? I think that was advertised in the paper as well, So so I saw all mine advertised in the paper.
So the modern day advertisement in the paper is probably your Indeeds, your Law Gazette jobs, isn't it? So I
think that's the way to go about it. So I think just have a look on there. So get on with. I think they call them jobs boards, basically, don't they?
Yeah.
These companies. So you got legal recruiters, but then you got jobs boards where there's loads.
We'll talk about legal recruiters in a minute.
But what I'd say is when you're looking for a role initially with no experience, think about those areas where there's loads and loads and loads and loads of work out there. So as I say, back in the day, it was personal injury type stuff. Today, I would say those areas will be anything to do with PCP type claims.
Yep.
So where people have had car finance, the diesel type claims. So once again, people who've been missold diesel cars. I think that the law is to do with they've been misquoted on NPG and things like that. Housing disrepair. There's a lot of that out there.
Yep. Conveyancing is always rife. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, a lot of conveyancing.
I think you can try and to the best that you can, try and find a paralegal area in something that you're interested in.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in litigation, try and find one of the litigation-based roles. If you're interested in more transactional, that's when your conveyancing stuff might be great, because the skills will transfer into another area.
Of course they will.
But it's also not, if you can only find a job in conveyancing and you want to be a litigator, you can still take it short term, because that's building up your experience for the litigation roles that you're probably more suited to. So if you can choose, but you don't have to be too fussy if you just need to get some
what
experience.
I'd say is, the reality is, beggars can't be choosers, so just get your foot in the door somewhere, and it's amazing how much you're going to learn in that first month.
Yeah.
You're going to pick up, doesn't matter what you do, you're going to pick up so much. I think back to that first job I was in, and having to phone up, A, a client, and B, a defendant insurance company. And oh my word, I was so nervous. All I had to do, so this task, I can't remember if I've told this story on the podcast before, and as they're training me up, in the first week, they said, right, so we've got this case, we've submitted an offer to settle this claim with the defendant's insurance company. Do you want to just ring them up and just see if they've accepted it? So I was like, oh yeah, come on, let's watch you do an example of one of these. So watch someone else, pick up the phone, hi, is that, XYZ insurance? Yeah. I'm ringing from such and such as listers. Here's our case reference number. Yeah. Have you received that offer we've made? Yeah. Have you considered it? Oh no, we're still, I don't know, the insurance company said it's in our pile to do or whatever. Right, you ready to do one of them? Can I just watch one more? And, oh my word, so nervous doing that. And then once you've been in the role for 2 weeks, you're just constantly on the phone to people, whatever it is. And likewise with clients, phoning up, we've had an offer, it's a good offer, do you want to accept? Or whatever it might have been, I can't remember. But so just simple things like that, you'll pick up.
And they're all transferable, definitely.
All those skills are massively transferable. And the point that we're making is, once you know what you want to go into, once you've developed those skills in, one of these areas where there's so much work, you can then say, well, do you know what, I've got these skills, let's apply to a criminal firm or a commercial litigation firm, or whatever it might be.
Yes. And you've got some experience under your belt as well.
Or you might decide that you like those areas anyway, because
you never know.
If there's that much work there, if they're big areas in and of themselves, and you might find that you really want to develop.
You might stay there,
anyway. Yeah.
So that's job boards. Recruiters. There's a lot of legal recruiters out there, and you will find some with some general searching that specialise in entry-level roles.
Yeah.
So it's always good. I would say a good rule of thumb is to be in with about 3 recruiters, maybe more, because they might find different jobs for you. They might work slightly differently. So, get your CV into a good few recruiters, have a chat with a couple, and they might be able to help you get a role as well. One thing I thought of about the no experience thing, and this is whether you're in a position that you can do this. If there's a firm that you really want to work for that's got an area of law that you really want to experience, and they say they're looking for a paralegal with experience, there's nothing to stop you getting in touch with them and saying you're really interested in that role, you don't have the experience requirements, could you come and just assist them for a couple of weeks, like work experience basis instead. We're probably not going to pay you for that, that's why I caveated it with if you're like John and you need a job, you need money, it's not going to be an option. But if you're in the summer in between universities and you think I can afford to go work for them for a week or so, they need help, they need some assistance, so they might say okay, you can come and do some work experience with us, might really like you, might offer you the job at the end of the couple of weeks. So
that's it.
It's about thinking outside the box. If the stuff you want really wants the experience and you don't have it yet, be a bit creative, and you never know what could come of it.
You really don't, do you? You really don't.
But so there's just some ways to help people get the paralegal jobs for the people that are looking for them, and for all those so many messages that I've had in my inbox over the last few weeks. I have answered them personally as well, but I just thought, if there's 10 plus people messaging me, there's more people with the same questions out there.
People are thinking about it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Boom.
Yeah. Well, been talking for some time, haven't we, Hayley?
We certainly have.
Anything else on our agenda for today?
Not from me, not today, John.
No, brilliant. Well, it's been a massive day for us, as we say, with the launch of the new website. We have the Public Speaking Advocacy Club coming up next week.
We certainly do.
So that will be a fun one as usual.
The theme of the meeting is the use of notes. So John will be giving some really good advice on how to use notes, when not to use notes, when it's okay to use notes, and how you use notes to perfect your speech.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a big one because it's a question we get all the time, isn't it?
Yes.
And as you say, there's a time and a place for notes, and they can be used effectively so they're not distracting. So I'll be talking all about that at the conclusion of the session. We have the plea and mitigation session the week later. So if you're in the competition, really you want to be getting involved with that, because it's a good chance for you to practice a competition style plea and mitigation beforehand and get some feedback.
Yes.
And once again, I'll be talking all about it, so you might want to listen to what I have to say.
Indeed.
I've done 1 or 2 plea and mitigations in my time.
Yeah. And in fact, plug of the hub again.
Yeah.
We've just finished, this will be getting uploaded into the hub in the next few days, a really in-depth course on the plea and mitigation. So for people taking part in the competition, that will be a massive help. But you need to be a member of the Advocacy Club to get that content.
You certainly do.
Sorry guys, see what we did there?
Next month we've got the plea and mitigation competition itself. So as we say, handful of places still remaining. We have we're also planning something else for next month. It's going to be quite an interesting event. It's an event we've never done before. So it's going to be a good one, and it'll be good for anyone really, whether you want to be a barrister or a solicitor, or whether you actually are a barrister or a solicitor. You could probably find some value in this event. So we will be probably announcing it, I reckon, probably this time next week, the rate at which we...
I don't know, it's Wednesday, it might be announced before the end of this week.
Oh, no doubt it might be, but I'm just saying, as a long stop, it's definitely going to be announced by next week, but probably by the end of this week, we'll be announcing it.
So keep an eye on our socials and on our brand new website.
Absolutely. And so that brings us to the end. If you are still listening, drop us a comment down below. Shiny new website.
Nice.
Yeah. See what I did there. And if you've got any questions for episode 60,
wow,
or if you've got any ideas for who we name episode 60 after, drop us a comment down below, drop us a DM, drop us an email, info@speedmooting.com. If you're listening and you've got 3 seconds spare, only 3, drop us a review. So 3 little dots on Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. If you're on YouTube, subscribe and give us a nice big thumbs up.
Yes. We appreciate every single one of you guys that takes the time to do that. So thank you in advance.
Thank you very much. And that does bring us to the end. Have you enjoyed recording this one, Hayley?
I've enjoyed recording it, John. Have you enjoyed recording it?
I certainly have. We hope you've enjoyed listening. And until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Enjoying our videos? Then we'd be super grateful if you could take a moment and subscribe to our channel.